Hey there berries, welcome to my support 10.20 tier list. Hope you guys have been doing well and enjoying watching worlds if that's what you've been up to in your spare time. If you guys are new to this kind of tier list, then this tier list is catered for solo queue in order for you to climb. There isn't too long until the pre-season, which will mean that the end of season rewards will be ending soon in about under 2 months. So you've got about 8 weeks to do as best as you can to get those season rewards. I think from about gold is where most of the people will be aiming for the actual unique skin for that season. So hopefully, if you're getting close to gold, this tier list can help push you in the right direction to end the season in gold plus. This patch in 10.20 doesn't bring too much again to the support role, but there's two changes to the support role. I'll talk about the Lulu one first. I'm going to bring that one up on screen for you guys to see. It is the W change to Lulu. Now, the interesting thing about Lulu is that really she's got 6 abilities. So her Q and her ulti do the exact same thing. But the W and the E actually have 2 different purposes. So the W can be the Whimsy or it can be the Polymorph. And the E can be a damaging ability or it can be a shield. So in this case, when they're targeting the attack speed buff portion on the W, so that ability already has 2 good functions. It's either an AD steroid or it's a single target crowd control. And honestly, they're attacking kind of the weaker portion, in my opinion, of the Whimsy. The attack speed going down a tiny bit. It's at one point, from level 1 point, it's like 5% attack speed less, and it goes down to 10% at max rank. And that nothing on the polymorph side is changed. The movement speed is still there, and that's the main scaler as well. If you're building AP on Lulu, it will scale through on the movement speed. So honestly, if I was Riot and I wanted to nerf Whimsy specifically, I would have done more of the actual movement speed itself as opposed to the actual attack speed. So I think this nerf isn't going to do anything to Lulu personally. I think, yeah, sure, you might get 1 fewer auto attack from your AD carry potentially in a fight, but really I don't see it being much of an issue at all. The more noticeable change is coming to Braum. Now this Braum buff is actually pretty noticeable, especially during the early portions of the laning phase. So the mana is going to get reduced by quite a large chunk, by 10 level 1. That might not seem a lot to a lot of people, but it does mean an extra potential Q in lane. And with the damage going up from 60 to 15 on base, throughout all the levels, that is a huge damage buff for Braum. From in that lane as well. So you're going to be definitely more aggressive in terms of looking for poke trades with your Q, and it's definitely going to do a sizable chunk of damage to honestly most people in the laning phase. If you manage to land Q after Q after Q, that alone will be pretty annoying, especially when they also have to worry about being slowed and that passive, adding one of those passive stacks on Braum. So Braum's actually looking like a pretty decent tank option pick now. I would say right now he's not overly strong. He has been having some nice combinations with Ashe and Lucian being the big one. Lucian and Braum are a pretty classic combo, but Ashe has been starting to be played a bit with Braum, especially with the very early aggressiveness there already. So it being buffed in that side of things, you can definitely do more plays during the very early laning phase and potentially actually get a kill, depending on what the laning situation's like. So definitely want to look out. I'll be adjusting. I have adjusted things to correlate that in a tier list. So I'm guessing if you've been watching previous tier lists that I've done, you can kind of pinpoint where he is. But those are the 2 big changes in the bot side for supports. I did some minor adjustments in the tier list. If you're familiar, tier 5 doesn't really change. If you can see a champion there, just don't play it in solo queue. It's not really worth it. We'll go straight up to tier 4 here. So tier 4, I've made some minor adjustments. I've actually put Brand and Karma on the far left hand side. They used to be in tier 3. I've moved them now down to tier 4. I just don't think they're good enough at the moment. Play rate on them has been miserable for a really long time. Karma got hit by quite a sizable nerf about 2 or 3 months ago, and honestly she hasn't recovered since. She was getting a lot of playtime, but now she's just kind of fallen down from a kind of tier 2, maybe even potentially tier 1 point down to tier 3, tier 4. I really wouldn't recommend playing that in solo queue at the moment. There are some champions here that I always like to mention that, you know, if you are looking to play support, whether it's a secondary or if you're coming in from a different lane and you want to learn how to play support, there's plenty of champions in tier 4 that I would advise you to use if you have experience playing in the other roles, such as, for example, Shen. If you've been playing a lot of Shen topside, bringing him into the support role is fine. Same with Poppy. You know, if you play a lot of Galio mid as well, you can definitely make that work. You've got the Xerath and the Vel'Koz and the Maokai. They're definitely more meta in their primary positions. But, you know, if you're learning the support role, it can give some familiarity with champions, can definitely help you there in improving your gameplay as a support player. Moving up to tier 3 now, champions that are now pretty much viable in solo queue as long as you're good at them. I have moved down Yuumi into tier 3 from a tier 2 point. Senna was moved down in tier 3 from the last video I did for 10.19. I don't believe there were any other changes there. I think you got a couple of safe blind picks there, which is quite nice. Like Morgana can be okay. Senna, I wouldn't advise as a blind pick, but I think the strongest blind pick there is probably the Morgana pick. There are definitely champions here that do well into specific situations, like, for example, once again, if you're not feeling too comfortable in the support role, Yuumi can be a pretty nice pick to help escalate someone else's advantage into the mid game. Doesn't have to necessarily be onto your AD carry. Thresh is a really good duo pairing with a jungler. Morgana, Caitlyn is something really good in the laning phase. Very, very good into binding into trap combination, but I wouldn't really advise playing Morgana without a Caitlyn. So, I mean, Caitlyn's still being played. She did get nerfed a little bit, but I would still say it's a viable pick at the moment. Gragas is an interesting one. I don't imagine many people will be playing him anyway, but I think there's definitely potential there to work with, especially if you've got a Yasuo on your team. The knockup can be amazing for that kind of situation, but if you're looking for like a cheese pick, then Gragas support at the moment, it would be that kind of cheese pick play. Definitely something to look into if you like being edgy and stuff like that in terms of your picks. Rakan, we started to see played a little bit more at Worlds recently, particularly with a Twitch submarine type combo. So Twitch goes in stealth, Rakan goes in with an E and then uses that E to then W onto the enemy and get a knock up engage that way. But honestly, in solo queue, good luck doing that. I think Rakan, if you're duo with an AD carry in that kind of regards, then with a Twitch or maybe with a Zai, you could maybe do a couple of things there. But really with everyone else, I wouldn't bother. But if you're specifically doing Rakan in the duo with a Twitch, then you can definitely do some good things with that. Only play Rakan if you have AoE in your team as well. Twitch has that AoE ulti. But if you don't have any like mass area of effect damage on your team, like an Orianna ball in the mid lane or like a Galio, Rakan's good at setting up for those plays, but there needs to be lots of mass AoE happening there. Lots of explosions on that follow-up. Tarek's pretty good into tanks. It is a very niche pick. He does quite well into like the Nautilus, potentially okay into a Leona and other champions that kind of get onto his face, but it can still be a pretty hard pick knowing who to use your Bastion on, your W, and then doing your stun. Can be sometimes a bit difficult. Also ult as well. Sometimes people don't stand in it. Even in Diamond, people don't stand. Basically, as soon as you cast the Tarek ulti, there's like a 2-second channel where that big white glowing circle falls down from the sky onto yourself and to your Bastion target, but people like don't realize that they can just make sure they're standing in that circle when it falls down to get the invulnerability, and people just are so inexperienced at playing with Tarek that not many people actually claim that ulti to stay alive. So there are issues with playing Tarek in solo queue anyway. Alistair actually is a champion I moved up from tier 4 to tier 3 specifically for the phase rush build. I know that's been played a lot in Worlds at the moment and was started to be picked up in solo queue about 2 or 3 weeks ago. I did have my eye on it, but there is potential to do something there as well. So if you're looking to play a traditional support pick in a slightly different style, I'd advise you to try out a Phase Rush Alistair. Expect me to attempt to put a video up onto YouTube in the next week for at least one Alistair game. I don't really like playing Alistair too much, but I'm definitely seeing a little bit of potential from this Phase Rush build that has come through. It does make him pretty speedy, as soon as you do your WQ knock-up combo, and then as soon as you press E or do an auto attack, your Phase Rush is like zooming away. So you can try and actually escape from those situations, because one of Alistair's weaknesses is that you go in and then there's no way out. That Phase Rush actually gives you a ticket to go out. So it's quite an interesting thing to kind of look into in terms of an Alistair build. So I advise that at the moment. Going up into tier 2, I have... Not sure. Oh yes, I have. Because of the Braum buff, we've moved up Braum from tier 3 to tier 2. I think he does Tarek's job slightly better overall. I'd say Tarek's ultimate is much stronger than Braum's ultimate, but Braum is more versatile and much more obvious, like, and how to get those stuns across. The debuff is like a big like tracker for your team, whereas with Tarek it's quite hard in solo queue to identify where that's going to be coming down. Also very good, the wall can be very good against if you're up against an Ornn top, the Braum wall will block the Ornn ultimate as well. So, you know, if there's some heavy projectiles like that, Braum can be a very useful pick into those team fights. Just trying to remember if I moved anyone else there. I think I may have moved Sona down from tier 1 or tier 2. I'm sure someone in the comment section can let me know. It's been a busy few days. I'm currently doing Twitch Rivals at the moment, and I've got like a whole other tier list in my head for competitive play, and it's all involving hard engaged champions and working out when to play what. So my whole week has been taken up by a completely different line of thinking. But I think I've moved Sona down from tier 1 to tier 2. It's pretty difficult to play her in the laning phase, honestly, and then team fights, you know, can still be a little bit iffy with your team. It's probably, if you can get to level 11 with Sona, then you're gonna have generally a good time, especially if your team's in a good position. But she is very easy to fall back on. I think more people will be encouraged to play hard engaged champions now because of Worlds. You will rarely see any enchanters, any AP mages in Worlds, and when people see like the Nautilus and the Thresh and the occasional Pike game, the Alistair, the Rakan, I'm sure the popularity will go up on those champions, which will, in theory, make Sona weaker as well, because many more people will be interested in playing hard engage, which Sona can generally suffer quite greatly into. But I think, you know, anything in tier 2 still, you know, you're still looking good. You'll still be okay to play Sona. Lux as well, Blitz, Zyra, Nami, Nautilus is a very strong pick in Worlds right now. I'm sure lots of people will be picking up Nautilus again. And the Braum buffs we were talking about earlier, those are all still solid champion picks, and if you're playing them in your solo queue games already and it fits your team composition, then yeah, go for it. There is nothing wrong with that as well. And Zyra is a very good pick, for example, as well, if you need extra bit of crowd control and ability power on your team. The worst thing you can have is 4 ADs on your team and a tank, and then all the enemy has to do is just stack armor. And you know, Zyra gives you a little bit of flexibility in your team composition to make sure that the enemy team doesn't do that. So that's when you should be looking to play Zyra. Now moving up to tier 1, what you've all been waiting for. Nothing has really changed there at all. As we mentioned about the Lulu nerf, it's not really much of a nerf, and I think honestly, I think Lulu could use a slight nerf, maybe taking 5 or 10 off her shield, maybe a bit of movement speed off the W could be okay too. And just like more move in that direction. I was quite surprised that they look to hit the attack speed a little bit, which honestly to me doesn't really make as much sense. I would have liked to have seen the Whimsy movement speed go down probably from about, I think it's 30% on one point. I would like to have seen that move down to maybe 20% movement speed and work from there, but I think Lulu is quite a strong enchanter pick right now with a lot of different picks, and accidental pun there. But yeah, Lulu is generally a pretty good pick with lots of different AD carry champions, and yeah, like she's still going to be absolutely fine in her current position as well. I wouldn't really call it much of a nerf at all. Leona, I think, is still the strongest engaged tank in solo queue for sure. The amount of crowd control that she can give is just insane. And during a team fight, you can generally stun multiple times to cause a lot of disruption. And she does really well against some AD carry picks like Kaiser, for example, who does lots of little bits of instances of damage. Leona's W does a flat damage reduction. So when she gets hit by lots of little things, the stuff like the Kaiser Q doesn't really impact her too much in the middle of a team fight either. Anyone else we want to talk about there? Probably should mention the Bard pick. Don't play it in particularly low elo. Is a very high mechanical skilled champion, but he's there tier 1 because he is the god of solo queue at the moment. If you're very mechanically skilled with roaming potential as well, you will do very well with Bard, and it's something that you could always generally one trick. If I was asked what would I one trick here, it would be the Bard pick. The amount of carry potential you have on that champion can be insane, as long as you mechanic roaming around a lot, but not for the faint of heart. But it is a go if you want to push your mechanics to the absolute limit while solo carrying your games. Well, hopefully this tier list helps you out. I did try and go through this a little bit quicker than the other tier lists. Hope you appreciate the tier lists, and well, when this video has already come out, my Twitch Rivals session would have been ended, so expect some more enchanters hopefully over the next week or so. But it has been quite insightful doing this tournament so far. As of this video, I won't spoil it too much for you, but I've been playing a lot of hard engaged champions. Been kind of enjoying myself in the competition at the moment. We haven't been doing too badly, but yeah, hopefully our day 2 goes a bit better. And yeah, I've been enjoying playing much more in this kind of like competitive environment rather than staying in like solo queue games. It's a nice change of, it's nice to reflect and look at League in a different way. So I might try and take part in more things like Clash and stuff again. It's made me want to do a little bit more, be a little bit more competitive in League again. But usually that happens after doing some Twitch Rivals, at least anyway. For the people that don't understand what Twitch Rivals is, lots of streamers get invited to play League competitively, and it's kind of a region-based thing at the moment. We've got everyone in the UK at the moment in a team, and we're facing off against other regions like Germany, France, Poland, Spain, etc. So yeah, it's been pretty fun, and I hope if you've been watching it on the live stream, it's been pretty good. Live stream being twitch.tv/Bizzleberry. But if you have any questions, as always, feel free to either leave them down below and I'll try and get back to you on that, or join the Discord, discord.gg/Bizzleberry. I did start a video series which I'll put on somewhere on this at the end. Ask a GM support questions, something like that. I can't remember the titling. I'm going to be doing another one of those episodes, I think, next week. If you have a question that you want to be answered in a video, then there is a specific channel on that Discord to drop a question, and maybe I'll pick your question to be answered on a future YouTube video. Other than that, I think I'm done. Sorry for the end ramble at the end there. Hopefully you stuck through for all of it, and if you did skip to the end of the tier list, then shame on you. Other than that, take care, stay safe, and stay very awesome. Appreciate you guys, love you, thank you for the support, and maybe it's very, very soon, maybe in a couple of days we'll hit 60k subs, so thank you for that, thank you very much. And didn't think this little thing that I started, it could end up so big, so thank you for that. And I'll be here not only for League, but also got my TFT channel, and gonna be doing some Wild Rift when that comes out soon, ? Soon, hopefully soon. Bye.